Hope you're doing well. We are 1 week away from the Super Bowl, and we've got some box office results. A big showdown in the theaters. M. Night Shyamalan going up against Tom Brady. Who won? Well, I'll give you that info here coming up, along with my thoughts on a classic rom-com I watched for the first time last night, Four Weddings and a Funeral. I'll tell you about that. Plus, Magic Mike returns to theaters this coming week. There's a new Dolly Parton movie, a new Reese Witherspoon movie. A lot to get into today. The Grammys are tonight. As always, send in your questions and your comments here on LCJ Live. Your number one movie is Knock at the Cabin, M. Night Shyamalan's new thriller with Dave Bautista. It's number one with 14.2 million. Now, here's the thing. That is still 2.5 million less than Old, M. Night Shyamalan's previous movie from Universal that did open to number one, but only opened to about 16.5 million back in July of 2021. This is M. Night Shyamalan's second R-rated movie ever, Knock at the Cabin. His first was The Happening with Mark Wahlberg from 2008, which opened to about 30 million. So you look at Knock at the Cabin and you go, all right, it's number one. It's the seventh number one film for M. Night Shyamalan in his career. Fourth in a row out of the 5 in a row he's collaborated with Universal on. But even The Visit, which started this M. Night resurgence back in 2015, opened to more than $25 million. Split and Glass did much, much better than this. Even Old did a little better than this. 80 for Brady, in some circumstances, also did better than Knock at the Cabin this weekend. 80 for Brady came in second with 12.5 million, but more people went to see 80 for Brady, according to the estimates, because 80 for Brady had ticket prices of about $8 instead of $14, $15, or higher in most theaters around the country. They called it throwback ticket pricing. More people went to see 80 for Brady this weekend, but Knock at the Cabin made more money. That's impressive for Paramount, 12.5 million. It's about what Book Club did back in 2018. Book Club did a little more in its first weekend, 13 and change, and it went on to do close to 70. I don't know if 80 for Brady could do $70 million, but 12.5 is a decent start, and this throwback ticket pricing of $8 is refreshing. When I went to see 80 for Brady a week ago yesterday at the first of 3 days of nationwide pay previews before its official open on Thursday, I saw a lot of older people. I saw a lot of older couples, older women, not a lot of them in particular football fans. Talking with a few women afterwards, and they like soccer. They like other sports. They went to see this for the stars. Sally Field, Rita Moreno, Jane Fonda, Lily Tomlin. They wondered if it was even a real game that was going on in the movie, and it was. And amazingly, they said it's the hardest we've laughed, the most we've laughed in years. Lots of people are going to this movie, not for Tom Brady, now retired, supposedly, Tom Brady, but for the stars of the movie. That should mean Book Club, the next chapter, the Book Club sequel that Focus Features is putting out in May, should do pretty good. Interestingly, Paramount gave up on the Book Club sequel, but they went for 80 for Brady. Interesting, because Paramount had the first Book Club back in 2018. So Knock at the Cabin's number one, 80 for Brady number two, a close number two, and a close number three for Avatar: The Way of Water with 10.8 million. It's at 640 million-ish. Avatar finally knocked off of the top spot after 7 weeks. Knock at the Cabin and 80 for Brady, which I had a feeling would both outgross Avatar this weekend. Avatar's still a decent showing, and obviously the highest grossing Best Picture nominee that's still in theaters. Of course, the highest grossing Best Picture nominee this year for the Oscars is Top Gun Maverick. But a strong 1-2-3 punch, and then not far behind in fourth place this weekend is Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, which added $8 million. It's at 151.3. It has made more money than the first Puss in Boots back in 2011, which made 149. So this sequel has already made more, not adjusted for inflation. And it's about 11 million away, 11 and a half, from topping Sing 2, which Universal and Illumination put out Christmas of 2021. That made 162.8. So it needs another 11 and a half to get to that mark. I think it can do it. 8 million the first time, I believe. Puss in Boots: The Last Wish has had a weekend under 10 million. So it's starting to go down, but still a decent showing. I think it can get at least another $11.5 million. Let's say it does 5 next weekend. That's a good chunk of that. Ant-Man will draw in some families, but not all families. So Puss in Boots will still get the family audience. You had a little competition this weekend in The Amazing Maurice, which made about $1.2 million. It's a good film. I talked with director Toby Genkel. You can check out that LCJ Q&A podcast episode at lcj.podbean.com. Obviously, a studio like Viva Kids, who I've worked with on many animated films, has been terrific. Do they have the marketing resources and the finance behind them that a studio like DreamWorks and Universal has? No. But they put this movie out after getting it into Sundance and getting a BAFTA long list nomination. And it's a good movie. It's a twist on classic stories and fairy tales and nursery rhymes and characters in fantasy worlds. Great voice cast, some sharp perspectives on it all. I like The Amazing Maurice, and it's in the theaters now. It's a change of pace from what you're traditionally used to seeing from CG animated movies that go to theaters. So The Amazing Maurice made a little bit of money this weekend for families, $1.2 million. We're still in a bit of a hole. Warner Brothers is supposedly putting out this Mummies animated movie in a couple weeks, but how wide is it going to go? It comes out February 24. I haven't seen much marketing for it yet. Looking forward to checking it out, but we will see how that does. Now, when it comes to the rest of the box office, and you can, by the way, send in your questions and your comments if you're watching live here on LCJ Live on YouTube. Rest of the box office is a little shaky. I can tell you that A Man Called Otto made $4.2 million. It's at 53. It's now one of the 5 highest-grossing Columbia Pictures movies of 2022, knocking out Lyle Lyle Crocodile. I can tell you Megan added $3.8 million. It's at 87.6. So it'll cross 90, but it will not get to 100 million for Universal domestically. They're still thrilled with how it's done. Missing added 3.7 million this weekend. It's at 23. Plane made another 2.2 million. It's at 28.9. Film called Pathan, second weekend for that, another $2.5 million bucks. There are some conflicting reports on exactly how much money the BTS concert movie made this weekend. Some are going as high as 6 million and change, some a little lower. Also, some conflicting reports on the season 3 finale of The Chosen. Some have it as low as 3.6 million, others as high as 6.5 million for how it did this weekend. The first 2 episodes of the season, which went to theaters at the end of last year, made about 8 million as it's open. So there are legitimately conflicting reports right now. Don't know exactly how much money The Chosen really made this weekend quite yet. Maybe we'll get those actual results tomorrow. What I do believe is, even though there is only a $1.7 million difference between Knock at the Cabin and 80 for Brady, and a $1.7 million difference between 80 for Brady and Avatar, it seems like that will be the 1, 2, 3 order when we get the actual results tomorrow. Could there be a surprise and something moves up and down? Maybe, but at this point, Universal and M. Night seem pretty confident that Knock at the Cabin is the #1 movie in America. So coming out this week is Magic Mike's Last Dance. The first Magic Mike was a blockbuster. $115 million for Warner Brothers, did so much better than they expected at a low budget. Steven Soderbergh, Channing Tatum, of course, Matthew McConaughey, came out in 2012. Magic Mike XXL, which came out 4th of July weekend 2015, everybody thought was going to do nearly as well, though no McConaughey in this one. And it didn't. It only made about half of, I think, just about half of what the first Magic Mike did. So now comes the third Magic Mike movie. It's been 7.5 years, nearly 8. This was originally going to go straight to HBO Max, but Warner Brothers decided to give it a theatrical release, which is smart, and put it in theaters over Valentine's Day / Super Bowl weekend. Channing Tatum, Salma Hayek. I think it will be #1. If all of these movies go down, Knock at the Cabin could go down to 6.5, 7 million. 80 for Brady could have a decent hold, maybe still do about 8 or 9. Avatar could go down to 8 or so. Puss in Boots maybe 5.5 to 6. Magic Mike's gotta do at least 10 million to be #1. It's gotta. I don't see it losing. If it makes less than 10 million, it would be shocking. So I think your #1 movie this time next week is going to be Magic Mike for Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers needs a hit. House Party bombed in January. They've got Shazam in March, but they need a hit for early in the year here, and Magic Mike is going to do all right. You know, how many people were honestly craving a third Magic Mike movie? That will be interesting to see. How many people are going to wait till Tuesday, lower ticket price day, and Tuesday the 14th being Valentine's Day. How many people are going to wait to go see Magic Mike on Tuesday? Remember, 2022, last year, Marry Me ended up winning the Valentine's Day box office, and it did a decent amount of its money just on Valentine's Day alone. So we will see if this romance film, Magic Mike's Last Dance, can do well on Valentine's Day and over the Valentine's Day weekend. In select theaters, a film called Sharper with Julianne Moore, which I haven't seen yet, but looking forward to. It's going to be on Apple TV Plus on the 17th. Also in select theaters and on VOD platforms, why I have the Dolly Parton guitar here with me today, is a film called Seriously Red, and I'm going to have my review tomorrow. I'm not allowed to share my thoughts on it yet, but it's about a Dolly Parton impersonator, and it's from Australia, and it's played at South by Southwest. It played there last year. It's finally getting released. Rose Byrne and Bobby Cannavale are also behind it. And I want to let you know, I can't talk about it yet, but I look forward to sharing my review of Seriously Red tomorrow. That's going to be in select theaters and on VOD on Friday. Look for my review tomorrow. New on Netflix Friday, why I have Elliot from Open Season, voiced by Ashton Kutcher, here with me. Ashton Kutcher and Reese Witherspoon star in the new Netflix rom-com Your Place or Mine, which comes out Friday. I'm going to be screening it this week, and I'll have my thoughts on it later this week. Your Place or Mine. Magic Mike will be the Valentine's Day movie everybody goes to the theaters for. If you're staying at home, that is the big option, Your Place or Mine. Of course, the Super Bowl is next Sunday. Eagles! I had such a great time at the championship game last Sunday. Awesome being there. Eagles face off against the Chiefs. Andy Reid, old coach. We got the brothers. We got so many stories, so many factors. It is going to be an exciting game. We will talk about some of the big movie ads that'll be playing during the Super Bowl next Sunday right here on LCJ Live. Got some cool new Animation Scoop Q&A and LCJ Q&A podcast episodes available now. You can listen to my conversation with the EP of Rubble and Crew, the new Paw Patrol spin-off show. Also, the creators of My Dad, the Bounty Hunter, great new Netflix animated sci-fi action comedy family series premiering this Thursday, February 9th. My conversation with the creators of that show is available now. And tomorrow, new Animation Scoop Q&A and LCJ Q&A podcast episode with the makers of the new Disney Marvel animated series, Marvel's Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, which is premiering Friday night, this Friday, February 10th at 8 p.m. on Disney Channel. Episodes will be available on Disney Plus beginning Wednesday, February 15. I talked with the makers of that show, Steve Loader and Rodney Clouden. We have a great conversation. Look forward to that. Tomorrow, just after noon Eastern, you'll check it out at animationscoop.com and lcj.podbean.com. Let me tell you about Four Weddings and a Funeral. I watched it last night for the very first time. Was in the mood for a film. And a classic film. I don't get the chance to watch a lot of classic movies during the year. Had a little time, so chose Four Weddings and a Funeral. Best Picture and Best Original Screenplay Oscar nominee back in 1995. One of the highest grossing British movies of all time at the time. Made Hugh Grant a star. He won the Golden Globe for actor in a comedy or musical. Won the BAFTA. The film won the BAFTA for Best Picture. And I had seen Notting Hill. I'd seen Love Actually, and some of the other films, of course, Yesterday from Richard Curtis. You know, Four Weddings is good. I didn't love it. I laughed a little bit here and there. There are some funny moments, mostly early on. There is, obviously, we get to the funeral section, which is legitimately sad and emotional and moving. The way it's handled is very well done. I had to think about, though, as I was watching Four Weddings and a Funeral, as they were doing certain things that I'd seen a lot of other wedding rom-coms lately, I go, wait a second, right, this is the one that started it all. You have to realize the movie came out 29 years ago. This is the one that really opened up the door to so many wedding rom-com movies of the last 29 years. This is the one that started it all. So I appreciate it in that sense. I have issues with some of the characters. I think if the movie was made today, they would have tweaked some of the storylines involving the characters, including Andy McDowell's character, who's not really that developed as a character in this, a few of the others as well. So if they made it today, I think there would be some changes there. Some aspects I didn't find particularly funny. Some things I thought went on a little long. Hugh Grant is good. I can understand why he became a star off of this, his charm, his appeal. And he gives a good performance. I have to think back and think about, would this have been an actor in a comedy or musical Golden Globe win back in the 90s? Maybe. I mean, even that category has changed so much. This year's winner being Colin Farrell for The Banshees of Inisherin. And it was a good performance from Colin Farrell, but a lot of it was drama. I mean, that category has changed so much where it's not just comedy you're looking at when you look at that category these days. I will say this, The Banshees of Inisherin is a movie that in the months that I have seen it, that I've thought about it, I've appreciated it more. There are still story problems I have with it, but I've appreciated the performances, I think, more as the months have gone on. Yesterday I posted this. I realized that it had been 14 years since the Oscar for Best Picture was only 5 nominees. It's been 14 years, which is incredible. The last time it happened, Slumdog Millionaire was the big winner, and it won 8 Oscars total. So I thought, all right, if I picked out of the 10 that are nominated this year for the Oscar, what's my 5 favorites? It would be All Quiet on the Western Front, Tar, Top Gun Maverick, Women Talking, and then I debated whether it would be Banshees or Elvis, and I gave it to Banshees because Elvis I have a lot of problems with. As good as Austin Butler is as a movie, it's really messy and shallow in places and a lot of issues. So as a movie, I would say who deserves that 5th spot would be The Banshees of Inisherin. I looked at the BAFTA. The BAFTA has stayed with 5 nominees for Best Film, which is fascinating to me. I love the fact that they've stayed with 5 only from a fascination perspective of the award season and what they thought were the 5 best, not just 10 or 12, but the 5. They went with All Quiet on the Western Front. They had The Banshees of Inisherin. They had Tar. They did not have Women Talking. Instead, they chose Everything Everywhere All at Once. And they have The Banshees of Inisherin, which I think I just said. They have Elvis in there, right? I think. Yes. So that would have been my alternate, but they don't have Women Talking. They don't have Top Gun Maverick. So those are the, I'm just pulling it up here. Those are the 2 changes. I'd keep All Quiet, keep Banshees, keep Tar, replace Everything Everywhere All at Once with Women Talking or Top Gun Maverick, replace Elvis, but Elvis was my alternate. So as a whole, the BAFTAs did pretty good this year with the 5 out of the 10 that we have for the Oscar, except for Everything Everywhere All at Once being in there. But yeah, very interesting to take a look at the BAFTAs still being just 5 nominees for Best Film. The BAFTAs is 2 weeks from today, Sunday, February 19th. Then the Annie Awards on Saturday, February 25. The SAG Awards 3 weeks from today, Sunday, February 26th. The Independent Spirit Awards, Saturday, March 4. The Oscars still 5 weeks from today. Wow. Sunday, March 12th. The Andrea Riseborough controversy seems to have died down a little bit. She will keep her nomination for Best Actress. I've seen all the Best Picture nominees, all the acting nominees, the screenplay nominees. Do you know the only 2 films with screenplay nominations not nominated for Best Picture are Living and Glass Onion? They take out Avatar and I think Elvis are the 2 that didn't get screenplay nominations but are up for Best Picture. So those are the only 2. The other 8 correlate Best Picture and in one of the screenplay categories. I've seen the animated features, the animated shorts. The animated shorts go to theaters February 17th along with the live action and documentary shorts. We've still got 5 weeks to go till the Academy Awards. So when we're back here next Sunday at 12 p.m. Eastern for LCJ Live, I will give you my official Super Bowl prediction. Fly, Eagles, fly, but what will the score be? We'll also talk about some of the movie ads, and we'll see how Magic Mike does at the box office over the weekend. And we will preview Ant-Man coming back to theaters with Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, which I think will deliver the first $100 million open of 2023. As always, follow me on Twitter at LCJ Reviews, Instagram at LightsCamJackson. The website is lights-camera-jackson.com, YouTube.com/LightsCameraJackson. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. And some LCJ Q&As are this week, some reviews are this week, some blog pieces, and some more fun surprises. New Too Fast 2 films will be coming at you this week. Guess what else is going to theaters? I almost completely forgot. Titanic returns to theaters this Friday in 3D. Will it do better than James Cameron's Avatar, 80 for Brady, Knock at the Cabin. Could it even make more than Magic Mike? I don't see that happening, but maybe Titanic 3D is number 2 over Valentine's Day Super Bowl weekend. I went to see Titanic in 2012 when it was re-released in 3D the first time, and now here we are 11 years later. It's coming back to theaters again, so we'll see how that does as well. I'm Lights Camera Jackson. Thank you for watching LCJ Live. Have a good Sunday. Stay warm if you're especially in the Northeast. Stay warm, and I'll see you real soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.